Well done. Just 5 o'clock. All the way from the Kiwa Valley, thank you. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting M14, 17th of December 2024. We will start with item 1 on the agenda, which is recording and live streaming of council meetings, and our CEO, Mr Jeremy, will take us away.
All council meetings are filmed, with both video and audio being recorded. Video is focused on a specific area, however audio from the entire room is captured. In common with all narrative during council meetings, verbal responses to congratulations, obituaries and question time will not be recorded in the written minutes. By submitting a question, you consent to your question being read aloud at the meeting. The reasoning behind recording council meetings is to hold us more accountable and to improve transparency of council's decision-making to our community. The full meeting is being streamed live on Council's YouTube channel, which is Alpine Shire Council, and will also be available on the YouTube channel shortly after this meeting.
Thank you, Mr Jeremy. Could we please stand for acknowledgement of traditional custodians and recognition of all people? Except I can't make this thing work again. Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the Tongarong peoples as the traditional owners of the lands on which we are meeting today. Council also acknowledges all of the traditional owners of the wider lands of the area known as the Alpine Shire. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community over the years and continue to, and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all. Thank you. The next item is item 3, confirmation of minutes. The recommendation is that the minutes of M13, 26th of November 2024 as circulated be confirmed. Mover and seconder. Mover Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor, I'm going to have to remember all these names. Smith, thanks, I was going to call you Nightingale.
Oh, that's all right. Stuart.
Stuart, yeah, Fred. Councillor Smith. Any comment, Councillor Byrne?
No.
Councillor Smith?
No.
Anybody else? No. Take it to the vote. All those in favour? That will be carried. Item 4 is apologies, and we have an apology from Natalie Cook, Director, Customer and Community, because of a family matter. And we have Ms Buckley standing in for Ms Cook, and we look forward to hearing from her later. Item 5 is obituaries and congratulations, and I'm going to start on my left. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a couple of obituaries for 3 actually.
Well done.
Better. Yeah. I've got 3 I want to just discuss from the local area around the Murderford. One was Vic Garoni, attended his funeral. He was a pillar of the Murderford Society, a very well-known man, and it was a little send off for him. So that was a celebration of life for that. But there was also two guys passed away, Matt Murder and Scott Levish, both from some illness. But yeah, both great people in the Murderford, Ovens Valley community, and all 3 will be missed by many in the whole area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Graham.
No, nothing.
Yes, I would like to congratulate the Alpine Cycling Club who delivered on Friday, the 29th of November, a new event on Bright CBD. It was a criterium, and I've been very well attended by the public, and it was very good to see back this kind of racing in town in Bright. I think it had been done by the past in 1993, 1995, I think, and it was very good to see this event coming back to town. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ronco. Councillor Tenzin. No, thank you. I have some congratulations. So first of all, I wanted to start with congratulating the new councillors that are sitting up here on the bench. I think you've had an absolutely incredibly intense few, it's almost a month, isn't it? And you've all done really well with that. And the other thing I wanted to say about it is that it's the first time for a very long time that we've had all councillors sitting at the bench and not TV screens all over the place down here. One time we even had 3 people not here, which is coming and going, and yeah, exactly, it was pretty, it worked just. So well done. My other congratulations goes to all those VCE students from across the state, but particularly across the Shire. And I know there's I'm not the only one who's sitting up here with as a proud mummy or proud parent moment. Some really high achievers across the Shire this year, and one of the things I wanted to comment on, it's not just the effort that the youngsters put in, but it does take a community to make a school work. And so congratulations to the entire community that supports the schools that we have in this area and helps them to do their best for our young people. My final congratulations is to a grand old building at the top of Mount Buffalo, who doesn't speak English, but the Buffalo Chalet, the Mount Buffalo Chalet has finally got some support through an agreement with Parks Victoria and Belgravia Outdoor Recreation. So they'll be working together to deliver outdoor education experiences, particularly to school groups in the first instance, from the Buffalo Chalet. And I really look forward to that building being rejuvenated and being reused and showing what it can really deliver with obviously the help of those organisations. So that's all from me. Next item is item 6, declarations by councillors of conflict of interest. And we have none declared at the moment, but if anybody through the meeting thinks that they do have a conflict after all, don't hesitate to declare it right then and there. Our next item is item 7, public questions. I'm going to start with one question on notice that we have had sent in, and just remind everybody in the audience who might want to make ask a question is that we request that the questions are relative to something on the agenda, and there's only 2 questions from one person, either written or verbally, at any one meeting. So the first question is been sent in on notice. It's from Dean Hurlston, who is with the group Council Watch. And the question is, Dear Council, what is the approximate cost per public council meeting for councillor and staff meals, refreshments and beverages, if applicable? And our response is that it isn't actually applicable because we have our council meetings at 5 o'clock and there isn't any food or beverage provided to the councillors because we don't stay out for that long. But I did want to point out that a couple of terms ago, we did start meetings at 7 p.m. and there was a meal provided for councillors, and one of the reasons that we changed it to 5 is to put that money back into the community where it can do a lot of good. But I don't know what the total was. So the next part is to open the floor to questions, and I am seeking questions from Keith. Thank you. Just state your name and where you're from, please, when you start.
Is that on? Yep.
Yes.
Keith Pike, Toowoomba South. This concerns the Mount Beauty neighbourhood safer place. With the onset of the bushfire season, I just wondered how often the generator there was checked, monthly I hope, but I just thought that was an issue. And also whether there was any plans to have the battery held at a particular state of charge just in case of emergency. It seems to me that was the purpose the thing was set up for, although obviously it can and should be used for other purposes when possible. I just thought it's worthwhile asking the question.
Thank you, Keith. And I will direct that question to Alan.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks for your question. Thank you, Mayor. I'll have to take that on notice to come back to you with exactly what the details are. The team is looking at the service schedule and ensuring that it is fit for purpose and ready for starting up. It has been added to our asset register, so I'll come back to you in writing if that's okay with an update. Yep.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the floor?
My name's Ray Dyer and reside at Buffalo River. Coming up here today, I was quite horrified with the Great Alpine Road. I know it belongs to Vic Roads, but the fire risk is immense in the way that the grass on the side of the road hasn't been mowed. And with the traffic coming up from Melbourne, you only need one car to park off the road, and the grass, I guarantee it, all the way up is more than over halfway up the white post. There's a lot of spots here where you can't even see the white post.
Ray, you've been here often enough to know that we're asking for a question, not a statement.
Well, what my question is, I'm just giving you the history of what's going on, because it's so dangerous. You only need a car coming up from Melbourne to pull off the road and be there for a very short time with the exhaust pipes, and you're going to have a fire, a grass fire, and I'd hate to think how many fires you may have coming up.
Is that
So
the
is it
question?
possible,
Yep, sorry.
is it possible, this is my question, is it possible to talk to Vic Roads and get that road mowed before Christmas, well and truly?
We'll take that one on notice.
The other issue is Vic Roads again. Down at Weston's Walnut Farm, where the roadworks are there, where they've got signs up, I couldn't say, and you might agree with me, I know it's over 12 months that those signs have been up and nothing's been done to the road.
So,
Could you also talk to Vic Roads to see what's going on with that also?
that will also be a question on notice.
That's the two questions, is if the Shire could look into that, especially the one with the fire risk. I've been talking about fire risk for a long time.
Yep. Fire risk and repairing the Great Alpine Road.
Pardon?
Fire risk and repairing the Great Alpine Road. Are they your two questions?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they've had over 12 months to fix that section up where the signs are down
Take them
there.
on notice and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Got them? The next item is presentation of reports by officers. And we start with Chief Executive Officer Will Jeremy, schedule of ordinary council meetings for 2025.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report seeks Council's endorsement of the proposed ordinary meeting schedule for the 2025 calendar year. It's a relatively administrative item. In accordance with Council's governance rules, Chapter 3, Section C1, Council must set the date, time and locations of ordinary council meetings, and that's the purpose of this report. I'm going to jump straight to the recommendation. The recommendation is that Council endorses the schedule of ordinary council meetings to be held in 2025 as follows. And what I've shown there is every meeting during 2025 to start at 5 p.m, as we currently do in the current calendar year. 2 meetings to be held outside of Bright, so one in Mount Beauty, which is proposed for the 25th of March 2025, and one which is proposed in Myrtleford for the 27th of May 2025. All of these meetings, bar the December meeting, to be held on the last Tuesday of the month. So I'm seeking Council's endorsement of that schedule, and then for officers to publish the notice of Council's ordinary meeting schedule on its website, and noting that changes can be made through the year, given 6 days' notice prior to the meeting change.
Do you have a mover, seconder for the... Ooh, I reckon it's going to be Councillor Byrne up first. And then Councillor Anderson as a seconder. Councillor Byrne. Councillor Anderson? Oh, did you want to say anything? No. Councillor Anderson, no. Anybody else make a comment? No. Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. I just wanted to point out as well that the meetings that are held at Mount Beauty and Myrtleford may be recorded but not live streamed. So if people are particularly interested in those meetings, they'll need to come to the venue. And here we go. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this Microsoft stuff that I'm not good at using. The next item will be presented by Director of Assets, Mr. Rees, and the first one is item 8.2.1, Contract Award, Myrtleford Landfill Cap Construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So this report relates to the award of a contract for the Myrtleford Landfill Cap Construction. Just by way of background, In 2020, Council commenced the design work for that particular cap, and the EPA approved it in August 2023, so it's a long-run process. During the liaison with the EPA, they recommended and requested that Council caps both Cell 1 and Cell 2 as soon as possible in order to comply with a particular milestone that the EPA had set. And so this report is recommending the award of the construction of both Cell 1 and Cell 2's cap. The procurement process, for transparency, was followed. So Council's normal procurement process. Tender was placed online, 39 tenderers downloaded it with 3 confirming submissions received. And following the evaluation process, it was determined that Exton's Pty Limited best met the requirements of the selection criteria. Just in terms of issues, there is sufficient space at Myrtleford Transfer Station to create the additional waste drop-offs and locations and additional public access points to ensure continued operation. So this cap construction will not disrupt the operational continuity of the Myrtleford Transfer Station. And in addition, extensive communication will be undertaken to inform the community of what is planned, what the construction plans are, and the adjusted traffic conditions to enable that business continuity. The item for Council to consider is that in order to award or to award this contract that's been recommended, there is additional funding required to be approved, which is not budgeted. So just to give you a bit of context, the total budget that was adopted for this project was for the capping of Cell 2 for $1.1 million. In order to do both caps in one contract, we would unlock a saving of approximately $89,000. However, what it will require is Council's approval for a funding shortfall of a further $1.4 million, which can be funded from the waste reserve. There are sufficient funds in the waste reserve to be able to fund this entire contract. So following the tender evaluation, the recommendations are as stated to award a contract for the construction of both caps for the Myrtleford Transfer Station to unlock the efficiencies and meet the EPA's requirements.
Thank you. Mover and seconder? Moved Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Graham. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I'd just like to add maybe a little bit further, Mr. Rees, if you could, just with Cell 3 or any other area of the landfill area. Is there any further works that might be required, any more investigation on that? You could expand a bit on that for us?
Thank you, Councillor Smith. So yes, there is a third cell at the Myrtleford Transfer Station, which is termed uncontrolled fill. We are currently in the process of investigating what the extent of that is, and then working with the EPA on a cap design for that cell, because it will also need to be capped. At this point in time, the design is not yet complete, but what we propose is that once the design is complete, we'll have a costing of what those works will entail, and we would then come back to Council with a recommendation to either vary the contract that's been recommended today or for a separate contract altogether, but that's part of a future process. Officers are looking to unlock the efficiencies wherever possible, so we'll expedite those works and come back with a recommendation.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Graham, do you have anything? Anybody else that like to ask? I'd like to ask about methane, Mr. Rees, and whether any of the capping will have an effect on the methane that be emitted from that waste, and whether we're collecting it or how it's being managed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the reason for capping these old landfill sites is to, I guess, reduce all emissions as far as possible by sealing them, so avoiding all gas emissions as well as water, and eliminating water actually entering the cells, which then contributes to you've got me here now.
Aerobic digestion.
The aerobic digestion process. So by capping the cells, we actually reduce methane emissions. We do still have some methane emissions, and we monitor those through a monitoring program, and we report those levels to the EPA on a regular basis. Our cells are relatively small, and so the volumes of methane are not really of any significant amount that would merit capturing and actually utilising it.
Thank you. Any further questions? We take this one to the vote. All those in favour? Well, we're good. Unanimous again. And we move on to the next item. Just coming. Just read that paper. Item 8.2.2, which is petition requesting to keep the barriers in McCulloch Street, Porepunkah. Mr. Rees.
Thank you, Mayor. So this report relates to a petition seeking to retain the barriers to prevent vehicular traffic up and down McCulloch Street in Porepunkah. Just as a bit of context, McCulloch Street is in Porepunkah. There's a broad road reserve that connects Service Street and Station Street. And at this point in time, there are barriers preventing through traffic, which creates quite a nice pedestrian access way. The petition has sought that restriction is not removed, i.e. no through traffic is permitted going forward. The petition met all of the governance rules, 40 signatures representing 21 properties in the local area. The challenge with being able to provide recommendations of not closing streets this early in the process is that there's a lot of future work to be done linked to the land development strategy, which was adopted in 2024. And what the land development strategy does is it sets out the basis and scope for future structure planning for a range for our 4 service towns, and particularly for Porepunkah. And the land surrounding McCulloch Street is zoned township zone, which seeks to provide for residential development and a range of commercial, industrial and other uses of that land. A significant number of properties along McCulloch Street are largely vacant at this point in time, with some subdivisions occurring to the north and south in the past few years. Council is currently preparing background technical reports to inform future structure planning for Porepunkah, and one of these reports is the Alpine Shire Traffic and Transport Assessment, which is expected to be completed in 2025. Those who sign the petition can make submissions to the development of these long strategic plans during the relevant consultation period, which allows for a more holistic consideration of the future requirements. And so following the consideration of the petition, the recommendations are that Council notes the petition and that plans to undertake strategic transport studies, as mentioned, and to really encourage all of the members of the community, and particularly those members that signed the petition, to make submissions to that strategic land planning document program in order to provide their relevant input in due course.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Ronco, seconded Councillor Smith. Councillor Ronco. Mr. Wade, Councillor Smith.
No.
Has anybody got any questions or comments? I wanted to ask Mr. Rees what the plan is about communication back to those who submitted the petition, other than this OCM, and I actually can't remember how many people signed it. Is everyone going to get a letter to say that they should go to the participate in the land use planning sessions, or will they have to find out some other way?
Thank you, Mayor. So just for the record, there were 40 individuals that signed the petition from 21 properties, yep. And they will all receive a formal written response giving them some advice on how to continue to participate in the process.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? We'll take this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Unanimous. Thank you. Next item is 8.2.3, contract for award Alpine Better Places, Harrietville. Mr. Rees.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report relates to the award of a contract for civil works to be conducted as part of the Alpine Better Places Harrietville, which is to be done at the Trono Dredge Hole Precinct. Again, this is a long-running project. It started in 2020, well, prior to 2021, with significant community engagement. But in 2021, Council was successful in securing a Black Summer Bushfire Recovery Grant from the Commonwealth Government to the value of just over $1 million, $1.1 million, $1.01 million. And the aim of the project is to improve the access and visibility of the recreational trails in Harrietville, as well as to improve the amenity and function of Pioneer Park, Tavaray Park and the Trono Car Park by formalising vehicle activity and promoting safe pedestrian activity, while also improving the amenity and appearance of the areas. New toilets will also be installed in the Pioneer Park car park, which have long been overdue for an upgrade, and that'll really lift that part of Harrietville. Again, the normal process of procurement has been followed. We had quite significant interest. 20 prospective tenderers downloaded the documentation with 3 conforming submissions. And following that assessment process, the Stadelman Group best met the requirements of the selection criteria. There is a little bit of time pressure on this project, which is related to the funding agreement. So works must be completed by the 31st of March, and hence we'd like to recommend that Council considers awarding this contract this evening. By way of consultation, there's been significant consultation over the period of the concept designs, and then a project reference group was established to workshop and ensure that the final designs best met the aspirations of the community. And through that process, it was identified that upgrading the Pioneer Park toilets was a better investment. And so we're pleased to be able to meet the community's aspirations. So the recommendations are for Council to consider awarding the contract as stated for the civil works of this particular project.
Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Anderson and seconded by Councillor Byrne. Councillor Anderson. Nothing? Councillor Byrne?
Nothing. I think it'll be a wonderful upgrade.
Yep. Anybody else? All right, guess what? I've got a question. Fancy that too, actually. Off the top of your head, Mr. Rees, do you know if it's equivalent or car parks to what's already there, or will this project provide some more? And on the back of that too, will there still be bus access in?
Yes, so the bus access will definitely be maintained, because that's where the snow traffic gets picked up and dropped off. The design will actually improve the efficiency and use of that space in Tavaray Park, so there'll be better use of that space. There will be some additional car parks on the northern side of Feathertop Track as one goes around the corner past the bottom pub. And of course the formalisation of the car parking at the Trono Dredge, so additional parking would be provided. It will also resolve the sight lines where cars are currently parking on the Tavaray Park side of Feathertop Track, which is a safety concern with children running out from behind cars. And what was your other question, Mayor?
That was all.
Yeah.
But I've got another one about bicycle parking, given that the Great Alpine Trail's very busy. Is there provision for that?
Yes, so there's a plan to put some bike racks in at the Trono Dredge car park, because it is a bit of a staging post for the Great Valley Trail down to Bridle from Bright to Harrietville.
Thank you. Nothing further. We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour of awarding this contract? That's unanimous. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Mr. Rees. I think that's the end of your bit. And we're moving on to Ms. Buckley. Item 8.3.1, a banking services contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report today is to seek approval for Council to append to the state purchasing contract for banking and financial services. Just for a little bit of background, Council requires various banking and bill payment services to facilitate and manage the flow of funds, including account statements, electronic banking, cheques, direct debit, merchant facilities, corporate cards and BPay. We're currently contracted with the Commonwealth Bank of Australia for the provision of these services, incurring fees of around $65,000 per annum in bank charges under the current contract. The cost fluctuates depending on the quantity of the services utilised by council. So we had a 3-year contract with 2 by 12-month extensions. The initial 3-year term expired in February 2022 and we utilised both 12-month extensions with the formal contract ending in February 24. We're operating our banking services under the terms of the contract, however, without a formal agreement in place, which is why we're here today. The state government, through the Department of Treasury and Finance, undertook a procurement process to establish a panel of banks that could provide banking and financial services across the public sector. The state purchasing contract for the provision of banking and financial services initial term started on the 1st of October 2021, ending on the 30th of September 2026, with a 2 by 2 year extension available for signatories, effectively ending the contract on 30 September 2030. We are able to append to the SPC for provision of banking and financial services. So our recommendation today is that Council appends to the state purchasing contract for banking and financial services until 30 September 2026, plus a 2 by 2 year extension option for a total estimated contract cost of $273,000 GST free, and that we delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to sign documents appending to the current state purchasing contract for banking and financial services.
Thank you. Do you have a mover and a seconder for this? Although I was just pointing out it's got SS there.
Happy to move it.
Moved by Councillor Byrne. Seconded by Councillor Ronco. Councillor Byrne.
A wonderful saving achieved by your department.
All good. Anybody, any other comments? No? We must have financial services.
We must.
Let's put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And I've lost my page yet again. Here we go. Come here. Come on. Right. 8.3.2, Dinner Plane Event Funding Program 24-25.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
So this report relates to the recommended allocation of funding through round 2 of our annual 2024-25 Dinner Plane Event Funding Program. For a little bit of background, we run event funding programs for the wider municipality as well as Dinner Plane. Dinner Plane is unique in that we operate 2 rounds, one that opens prior to the snow season and one that opens after the snow season, to give the community maximum opportunity to apply for events that they'd like to run up the village. We consider events a key driver of visitation to Dinner Plane and very important to the local economy. The investment in event activities is essential to support Dinner Plane economy, to activate the village, and also to see the trickle-down effect that comes through the rest of the Shire. We provide annual financial support to events across the Shire through our funding program, which opens in May each year. Round 1 of the Dinner Plane Event Funding Program also opened in May this year and attracted a number of applications. One application, Dinner Plane Outdoor Cinema, was supported and allocated $4,000 during that May round. We recently reopened for the second round of Dinner Plane Event Funding, and we're here today to consider recommendations for support for 2 key events. So the recommendation tonight is that Council allocate financial sponsorship to support events in Dinner Plane for the successful applicants as follows: Sled Dog Challenge, the Dinner Plane Sled Dog Sprint with funding allocation recommended of $10,000, and Long Way to the Top applicant Dinner Plane Community Association with funding request of $5,000. We are also recommending that the CEO is delegated authority to distribute residual or unspent funds to a total of $15,525. And note that $4,000 of the Dinner Plane event funding budget was allocated in round 1 to the Dinner Plane Outdoor Cinema. And finally, we note that Alpine Environmental Workshop was allocated event funding in 2023-24 round. That event has since been cancelled and the funds are included in the budget for 24-25.
Thank you, Ms Buckley. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Tanzan and seconder, Councillor Anderson, just looking at you. Councillor Townsend, anything to add? Questions?
Not much, just I think it's a great way to keep events running and keep people moving around all parts of the Shire. So.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson? No. No one else? No. Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 8.3.3, Contract Award Security Operations Centre. So not only must we have finances, but we must have security.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this report relates to a recommendation to award a contract to provide Security Operations Centre, or SOC, Security Information and Event Management, SIEM, solutions to address council's cyber security risk. A little bit of background. The solution that is coming up today is a solution that helps organisations detect, analyse and respond to cybersecurity threats before they harm business operations. So obviously a vital service for an organisation like us, very important to our ongoing operations and our security. SIEM combines both security information management and security event management into one security management system. This technology collects event log data from a range of sources, identifies activity that deviates from the norm with real-time analysis, and takes appropriate action. Procuring this type of solution is essential to addressing various technical functional requirements that Council does not currently have the architecture or resourcing to build and manage internally. The SIEM solution has been identified as a key body of work to address the various recommendations for compliance imposed on Council from governing bodies, so like VARGO, Australian Signals Directorate and Office of the Victorian Information Commissioner. So this is essentially something that we need to do to make sure we're complying with those organisation requirements. It's anticipated that this system will help address close to 40% of the VARGO Essential 8 and OVIC compliance requirements, with the remaining 60% to be addressed in a future cybersecurity support partner request for quotation. So recommendation tonight is that Council awards a contract number 26096 for Cybersecurity Operations Centre for a 3-year term to PRJ Consulting Proprietary Limited for the lump sum price of $2,118,800 and delegates authority to the CEO to sign the contract at the appropriate time.
Mover and seconder? Councillor Townsend and Councillor Graham? Councillor Townsend.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, just for the record, could you just share who?
Yes, Councillor Townsend moved and Councillor Graham seconded. Pleasure. Councillor Townsend. Nothing to add. Councillor Graham?
Nothing to add, no.
Anybody else? Any questions? Or
How does this stack up in the budget against previous?
Speaker, please. Sorry, it's hard to remember.
How does this stack up in the budget against previous costs?
That's a very good question, Councillor. I'll need to take that one on notice and I'll get back to you on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? No. I will take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Next item is item 8.3.4, Alpine Shire Municipal Emergency Management Plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Very timely one, given the temperatures out there at the moment. This report relates to the Alpine Shire Municipal Emergency Management Plan, or MEMP, for 2024 to 27. The purpose of the MEMP is to ensure the safety of the communities within the Alpine Shire, to preserve lives, livelihoods and the environment in the event of a disaster impacting the municipality, with the core priority of preserving life. The MEMP details the agreed multi-agency and community arrangements for the prevention and mitigation of, response to, relief for and recovery from emergencies that could occur across the Alpine Shire, as identified in the Emergency Management Act 2013. The MEMP has been prepared by the Alpine Shire Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, MEPSI, in accordance with the Emergency Management Act 2013. It complies with the guidelines for preparing state, regional and municipal management plans issued under Section 77 of the Emergency Management Act. It's a document that aligns with existing legislation, frameworks and procedures and addresses the prevention and mitigation of response to and recovery from emergencies within the Alpine Shire, essentially our playbook for how we manage and respond to emergencies and work with other organisations to get the best possible outcome for our communities. Recommendation tonight is that Council notes the Alpine Shire Municipal Emergency Management Plan, which has been assured by the Regional Emergency Management Planning Committee on the 14th of November 2024 for publication on Council's website.
Thank you, Ms Buckley. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Anderson. Seconded by Councillor Tanzin. Councillor Anderson. No, nothing. Councillor Tanzin. No. Ms Buckley, in the Emergency Management Plan, Alpine Shire Municipal Emergency Management Plan, it spells out the different roles of various organisations. Could you just very quickly outline the role of councillors in particular?
That's a very good question, Madam Mayor. I will probably find a little bit more information to flesh the answer out for you. Council as an organisation exists predominantly in the relief sphere rather than the direct response to emergencies. So obviously the agency, depending on the emergency, the agency in charge will respond to that particular event, and while we'll be heavily involved in the mitigation, we're not actually the first response agency. Our role really comes strongly into play when we start to move into the relief phase. Sometimes we'll see with emergencies that we have an event happening at the same time as relief starting to come into play. So council may stand up relief centres at the same time as there is still active fire in a landscape, for instance. But the council law's specific role, I would need to look more closely into and come back to you on.
Thank you, Ms Buckley. But spelling out the council role is a good start. So we're not going out there fighting fires or filling sandbags necessarily. We're supporting the community more than actually dealing at frontline.
Absolutely, and supporting those agencies that do such an incredible job of that immediate response. And we're fortunate to have some very incredible agencies and strong partnerships, and that's part of what this particular document does. It outlines who does what, so everything's very clear in the moment.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? We'll take it to the vote. All those in favour of noting this terrific plan? That'll be carried unanimously. And the next item, it's disappeared on me again, is informal meetings of councillors, for which we have one recorded, a briefing session on the 26th of November 2024. I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that the summary of informal meetings of councillors for November 2024 be received. Councillor Byrne. Seconder. Councillor Anderson. Anything to say, Councillor Byrne? Councillor Anderson? Nothing to add? Let's take this one to the vote. All those in favour? Beautiful. Carried. Item 10, presentation of reports by delegates. So reports by delegates is about meetings that individual councillors have gone to participate in perhaps regional discussions or something along those lines. And I believe Councillor Graham has something to add. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nicholas. I attended the Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance on the 28th of November. It was held in Alexandra in Murrumbidgee Shire. There are 21 people in attendance representing councils, DECA, the CMA. Unfortunately, the Alpine Resorts Commission, they didn't send a representative. Briefly, it noted that 61 councils are purchasing green energy, resulting in a savings of 11 cents per kilowatt network cost. I'm unsure if that was a savings of 11 cents or that's what they were actually paying per kilowatt. There's also some big businesses have signed up, Australian Catholic University, Victoria University being two of them. There was discussion about a big battery. 20 organisations have signed up for funding, including councils and the Alpine Resorts Commission, but they're currently awaiting the outcomes of that. There was then a round table where each of the shires and organisations detailed what they were doing in the Climate Alliance area. In the afternoon, there was also a presentation by a group called Solar Savers, and it's an initiative to support the present 19 councils with intention of making solar panels accessible using government offsets and a bulk buy system. And these systems may also include a 6 to 8 kilowatt battery. They also talked about a changeover to more efficient appliances. As we know, the government's trying to get everyone off of gas. So the talk was around reverse cycle air conditioners, heat pumps for your hot water and induction cooktops. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Graham. Any other reports from delegates? The only thing I just mention is that Deputy Mayor, Councillor Smith, and I went down to the compulsory training that Mayor and Deputy Mayor have to undertake annually now. We went to a training run by the Municipal Association of Victoria, and it was terrific, not just to really get what our role is really clear, but also to network and meet other councillors. So even though you might sort of get a bit grumpy about compulsory training, it was really good. Next item is general business, and I will start on my right with Councillor Townsend. Nothing? Councillor Ronke?
No, nothing.
No? Councillor Smith?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to have a go. just for something different. I just wanted to finish off with a Christmas message to everybody, Christmas message to our community, to our councillors and staff from the Alpine Shire who do such a great job and will continue to do so, I'm sure, through the holiday period. Obviously, Christmas can be really distressing for some people, so keep an eye out on your mates. But have a great new year and keep safe around roads, water, all of those things. So happy Christmas, everybody. Thanks. Mr. Jeremy, would you like to have some general business?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to thank the councillors for their enthusiastic engagement in the induction and briefing process. So I was reflecting, the councils were formally declared on the 8th of November, and it's only just over a month ago, and it feels to me like a very long time that we've been working together. But it's literally a little over a month we've been together. For the benefit of the community, we've spent pretty much every Tuesday and every Thursday together as a team since that formal declaration of results. It's a significant effort and commitment from the councillor group to their education and to support the community. So I'd like to thank them for that and thank them for the enthusiasm that they brought to that process. And also I'd like to thank our staff, because this doesn't just happen, without effort. So it takes quite a bit of effort to put together the induction programme, all the briefings, and work hard on supporting our councillors. And it's taken an effort from a lot of staff to get us to this point today. So thank you to everyone in the organisation who's contributed to that and helped us to bring councillors as quickly as we can up to the point where they're making good decisions for the community, which is what it's all about. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Jeremy. Next item is 12 motions for which notice has previously been given, and we have none. 13 is reception and reading of petitions, and again we have none. Item 14 is documents for sealing, and we have two Section 173 agreements. So could I please have a mover and a seconder to put those ones through? Moved by Councillor Anderson and seconded by Councillor Smith. Thank you very much. And being no further business...
Could we put that to the vote?
Oh, sorry. Oh, lucky. Let's put that one to the vote. All those in favour? Phew. And there being no further business. That was unanimous, by the way, note taker. Item 15 is closure of the meeting. You can see I'm galloping to the end. And so I declare the meeting closed at 5:49 p.m. Thank you.
Last one.